Hey guys, welcome to another video and episode 2 of #WifeLife. So in episode 1, I talked about 4 of the biggest things that has changed about me since getting married. And I mentioned that episode 2 would be a little bit more nitty-gritty. The subject would be a little bit more challenging, and rightfully so, because marriage is not easy. It's not this fairy tale fantasy. And I think for a lot of people, falling in love and getting married later on in life, they kind of already know that, whether it's through prior relationships or just knowing more about life and having life experiences. You kind of already know that relationships take work, and so you already have a little bit of disillusionment. Now, I can confidently say that my fantasy meter has always been quite low. I was never that person that dreamed about the perfect man or the perfect relationship and perfect marriage. I think I've always been a realist when it comes to marriage and relationships and partners, partly because I am very self-aware and have always been really observant of people and social dynamics, and just knowing that we're all imperfect in our own ways, and having to match that into a long-term committed relationship requires a lot of grace and patience and understanding, but also requires both parties to be really self-aware and be able to recognize that the compromises you make and the struggles that you go through aren't always a sign of discord and incompatibility, but that they are normal challenges that every relationship experiences, whether it's a romantic relationship, friendships, work relationships, family, anything. So something that I'm really grateful about when I got married was that I was gifted some really great books on marriage, and one that I have been really loving is Tim Keller's book called The Meaning of Marriage. And something very early on in the book really turned on the light bulb in my mind why modern couples are struggling so hard in marriages and in relationships. So I'm just going to read a little bit of it because it was so impactful and powerful to me, and also was a really good reminder for myself going into a marriage to adjust my perspective so I could really approach this relationship and this partnership the right way. Alright, so here's the first thing. Both men and women today see marriage not as a way of creating character and community, but as a way to reach personal life goals. Whoa. That sentence really stabbed me because I would say all through my 20s into my 30s, I was on this path of like self-development and personal goals, especially over the past year when I was really like digging deep and doing a lot of internal work. Something that really defined me was learning and developing and just trying to be the best version of me as I possibly can. But there's so much messaging around us right now that really focuses heavily on personal development, personal growth, personal gain. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think that's incredible. I'm all for it. I still love it. That's still who I am. But when it comes to a marriage, I could see how my hunger and desire for continuous growth could prevent me or blind me from really working on personal character within a marriage. And I can see how this mentality can be really self-centered, where it's all about my own growth, my personal journey, and it would be very easy to overlook that in a relationship and in a partnership, especially in a marriage, there's a lot of different kind of character building and personal work that can still fulfill your need for personal development. And that's something that I really felt deeply, especially in the very early stages of being married. As uncomfortable as it is, and as frustrating as it makes me feel sometimes, I also know that these are things that I need to experience, that I need to work through, because they're building parts of my character that I've never had to go this deep into. And that also is self-development. That also is growth. And while the trade-off in the moment can feel really hard, I know that right now is the time to work on this, because if I don't grow in these areas like patience and grace and slowing down and caring for somebody else, it gets harder and harder to do later on in your marriage. And I found that I had all these little habits that I would get frustrated about, I was feeling stuck about at certain times, because I was so used to me being in the driver's seat and just driving along at my own pace, stop when I want, go when I want, speed up when I want, give it a rest or whatever. And when I couldn't ebb and flow to my own rhythm, I would feel frustrated. And it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to feel like things aren't going your way and be frustrated and be like, oh, I miss those days when I could just do whatever I wanted. And the thing about marriage is that it's a real test of your patience and character, because you're no longer driving for yourself. You are driving along with somebody else who has a different rhythm, and it's not going to be the same as when you were single. It took time for me to come to terms with that, and I feel like I'm still, navigating that thought process and that mindset. But because I know that this marriage is worth it and that my husband is my person, my life partner, I figure out ways to make it work for me. This is a whole different way of life. This is a whole different way of being, and it's going to be a whole different me. I'm still going to be myself. It's like I'm stretching muscles in me, like heart muscles in me that just haven't been utilized as much before. And it can be painful. I've shed a lot of tears, just almost desperate moments for myself. But seeing the growth in our relationship, the growth in me, the way that I am approaching life, and the perspective that it's been giving me to look beyond just myself and the now, that has been priceless. And the third thing that I found was like the hardest thing about being married is that personal space and time becomes incredibly limited. Now again, I am an incredibly independent person when it comes to just my life and my lifestyle. So it's the fact that when you get married, you move in with somebody and you're living with somebody and you're with your spouse 24/7. Like really, that was hard for me. It still is. I'm still working out and figuring out how to create personal time and space for myself, because me personally, that's something that's really important to me. I need that to function. My alone time, my quiet time, my personal time, that is how I decompress. It's how I stay sane. In the beginning of our marriage, when we were building a business together, combining our lives, it was like I could never get a break. And so that was very exhausting and really difficult for me. No matter how much you love somebody, no matter how much I love my husband, and I love spending time with him, and I really enjoy the way that he makes me feel, if I don't have those isolated moments and spaces where I can just be by myself with my thoughts, with my feelings, and recharge, it can get really tiring. And at first Dave was like really concerned and surprised at the fact that I wanted alone time, that I needed my time and my space. But through the course of the past year, he's been so great. He surprised me right after our wedding with some little things that he got on Amazon to create, a little Jen space. And even this room right now, this space right now, coming into the summer, we had to convert my little reading nook in our bedroom so that we could accommodate a air conditioner. So Dave was like, well, why not convert our studio space in the spare bedroom to your reading room? And I was so touched that he was the one who suggested that I take over this space and that he helped me put it together. And it just really goes to show that he now understands a bit better what personal time and personal space means to me and how that enhances my functionality within our relationship. And I have to say, as much as it feels like I'm giving up certain aspects of my independence, the payoff has been incredible because I'm now learning how fulfilling it is to be in a partnership, in a relationship with my husband. Just knowing that somebody has my back and somebody cares about me this much, that they want to continue to get to know me, that they want to give me that safe space to be able to express myself and be who I am, and someone who's willing to go through all the highs and lows of life together. It's what I've wanted for a relationship and why I chose Dave, because that is like one of his high priorities, is to be able to share everything about life together, knowing that he is all about that and that he strives to create that safe space for us to be able to be honest with each other, communicate, and be there for each other. Like, that is really invaluable, and he does a lot of the legwork for that. So I'm so grateful for my husband. I'm so grateful for this marriage, and that no matter how hard or challenging parts of it has been, that I've been able to really reap the benefits from it as well. So thank you, husband. So yeah, these are some things that I found really challenging and still do work through in my marriage. Thank you for bearing with me in all of my ramblings for this one, because oh my gosh, I have lots of thoughts on it. The next video is going to be the 4 best things about being married. So don't worry, this is not a downer video. There's something to look forward to. I hope that this was helpful to somebody. I can't be the only one that's experienced this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!